I should have seen it coming. When they read her name off, I was sitting on the couch and I'm like, fucking knew it. I knew it. Why did I think that wasn't going to happen? It's kind of like one of those where you're like, when you're watching a Lions game and you're like, go for it on fourth down, go for it on fourth, and then they don't get it and you're like, that's why you don't go for it on fourth down, goddammit. That's kind of how my emotions were. I'm like, come on, Lily still got this. Lily still got this. Come on, Lily Gladstone, just say it. And they're like, Emma Stone, and I'm like, I fucking knew it. I knew it was going to be Emma Stone. Why did I think it was going to be Lily Gladstone? Of course it's Emma Stone.
You are listening to the Silver Screen Happy Hour. I'm Chris Wiegand, along with my brother Jerome.
I am here.
All right. Well, the Oscars are over, and we wanted to do a quick recap. We haven't gotten all of our Oscar episodes out, but for us, Oscars season is just that. It's a season, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
we start
it's not one day.
When they announce the nominees, and we kind of go on from there. So, but yeah, what are we going to be doing today?
We've already hinted, we've already told you, I think, that the next episode is Barbie versus Oppenheimer, which is already in the can, right? You're just finishing it up.
Yeah, that should be available soon.
Available soon. And then next week we record Killers of the Flower Moon and The Holdovers?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing? Okay, and The Holdovers. So we're not done yet. Just because Oscar night is done.
Holdovers of the Flower Moon, I think.
We are not Killers of the Holdovers. I like Holdovers of the Flower Moon. I like that one.
Yeah.
So we're not done. Even though the Oscars are done, we are not done because Oscar season is when we get the best of the best when it comes to film, particularly screenplays, and we get to talk about them. So today we're going to recap Sunday night's Oscars. This was just a couple of days ago. It'll be longer than that by the time you hear it. I have to say, starting off, I was disappointed with my 78% effectiveness in predicting the Oscars.
I was telling people, and they're like, that's impressive. No, not if you knew them.
No, I'm normally around 83, which is, back when they had 24 nominations, it was 20. If I could get 20 out of 24, that was 83%. Now that they have only 23, I got to get 19. 19 out of 23 is still a low 83, but it's an 83 nonetheless. But I had 5 wrong this year. 5 wrong. I was ashamed. And I'll tell you exactly where I went wrong. So let's kick it off.
Hold on. What are we drinking? What are we drinking?
Now, today I'm going light. I don't have any good, strong alcohols today. I'm going with just my lightsabers, my Mick Ultra tall cans, the 25 ounces. And because my brother was late getting on, I already cracked this one open. I just couldn't wait anymore. Some might call that a problem. I don't. But I'm sure I will finish this and be able to crack open a new one while we are recording. What are you drinking today, sir?
Well, I felt like since we're covering the Oscars, it's a celebratory type of an event, and this is a celebratory type of a drink. It's not champagne because it's actually made in California.
I was going to get a bottle of champagne too, but I thought that'd be too much.
It is an extra dry sparkling from California with a twist top. Because I'm in a little studio and, twist top, it works.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Little pop.
There you go.
Got the champagne glass.
Oh, look at you. You look like you're Tom Hanks over here.
Ooh. Good bubbly.
Yes, sir.
We've been holding this one out, and it's appropriate. We're doing Oscars. But we, last week, listed our house, and the same day had 2 offers, one for asking price, one for like $8,000 over asking, and
congratulations.
We accepted the $8,000 over asking, and then later in the week, it's been a roller coaster finding a house. We had multiple offers that 2 of them fell through. Then we found this custom built house in Port Huron Township. Beautiful home, needs some updating because I don't think the guy touched the carpet or paint since 1990, but because of that, man, it's going to be a great place to call home, and they accepted our offer, so we're going through that process now. So hopefully by April, we're going to close on both the first week of April, and so yeah, it's going to be crazy, and I'm saying that for our audience to say we might have a little lag in the shows, but I'm hoping we can actually get the Oscar run done, and then maybe we'll have a little break while we move.
I have some exciting news myself.
Yeah.
In about 2 weeks, we break ground on the new recording studio in the garage.
So it's all going to line up. We might have to take a little break so you can get that done and I can get the move done.
And I know I've said this joke a million times. I will say it again. I will officially be coming out of the closet.
That's a lame
All right.
joke.
Before, and I love it every time I tell it. Now, before we get to the nominations, first we have to address the elephant in the room. One of us was able to watch this show. One of us was not.
So
What happened,
So here's
sir?
the thing. In the Oscars, the Academy gives no shits because they don't
have zero shits
they
left
have
to give.
zero shits to give because this was a record-breaking viewing, I think, for the Oscars. It was an amazing 19 million, which is a decent night for the Oscars. I think I read that. But apparently they give no shits for people who don't have cable. And I live too far away from a large city center so that even if I had bunny ears on my TV, I'm too far away to pick it up the old way, the old analog. Actually, it's not analog anymore. You need a digital antenna.
So you'd have to stream it.
So you have to stream it. And I have all the streaming platforms request your cable provider, and I don't have a cable provider. All I have, I do have Xfinity, but because I don't pay for the channels, and which it includes, I don't pay for local TV, I got nothing. And so I was trying to stream it. It was ABC, right? I was trying to. I went on ABC.com. ABC.com wanted my cable provider and everything, and I put in Xfinity, and it said, "No, you didn't pay for it." I'm like, God dang it. So I couldn't watch it. So I was bitter, and I was like, screw it. And then I saw the Barbie snub was near complete, and I was really irritated that Oppenheimer took so many, even though I know you're happy about it. So I was like, I'm glad I didn't watch.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that as we go.
And there's a naked guy. I didn't need to see that either.
True. It's true. All of that is true. None of that is a lie. I have Fubo TV, and it has live streaming, and we pay for Fubo. Yeah. So it's not a free streaming service. So we pay for that, which is what gives us the live TV. That's how I was able to watch it.
We had Sling during the football season, and I got rid of it after football.
Well, that's what my wife, my lovely wife, is like, you don't watch Fubo anymore because the Lions are done. Can't we put it on hold? Right. Like, there's a hold. Like, you can, cancel payments for, 5 months or whatever. She's like, we'll pick it up again in football season. I said, you have to wait until the Oscars are over.
Right.
Don't kill it now because then I lose my live TV.
And that's the thing. I don't watch TV, and that's why I hate paying for it. But we do stream things. So we pay for internet, and we stream shows on several different streaming platforms. But the only thing I literally watch live is football. And apparently the Oscars.
Apparently the Oscars.
I didn't get to watch it.
So let's jump right in.
Yeah.
I am going to say, I'm going to start from the bottom up, and this is not meant to sound offensive to those that are involved in the short film industry, but we're going to address your films first. Not because you don't matter, but just because you really don't matter. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
What a
dick. I actually love... here's the funny thing. I actually love when I take the girls to see, my kids are still young, and when I take them to see, I want to say a month ago, I took them to see Migration, which they had already seen, but it's the only kids movie out right now. So if I wanted to treat them to the movies, I got to watch the same movie again. They don't care. They love it. This year, or this time that I took them, they played an animated short before the movie. And I love when they do that because sometimes they're up for Oscars and I actually get a chance to see them. I don't have the time to go to the theater because they have theaters that will play Oscar-nominated short films. I didn't have the time to do that. I almost never do. I'm sorry to say. But they are categories I'm intrigued by. And this year was particularly interesting in the short film category. Let's start off first, though, with a documentary feature. It was the one shoe-in, 20 Days in Mariupol. Everyone knew that one was going to win. That was one of the ones I got right. But then of the short films, there was 3 shorts. By the way, a little side bit real quick. On my score sheet, I printed up a score sheet, a checklist, if you will, and I keep score as the show was going on.
Right.
You pointed out to me, and you were correct, that I had misplaced the titles of the documentary short film and the documentary feature. I had them swapped.
Right.
So 20 Days in Mariupol, which is actually a documentary feature, was under my documentary short. And here's the funny part. I didn't even realize it when they were in the middle of the Oscars. Kate McKinnon was giving out the award and said documentary short, and I'm like, huh, she screwed that up. It's documentary feature. I didn't even catch it. That I was possibly the one that was wrong.
How could you be wrong?
And mistyped it, right. I thought she had a few drinks before she went on, and she flubbed it. Sorry, Kate. I guess you were right, and I was wrong. But in the documentary short film category, The Last Repair Shop was the other shoe-in. Some people were saying that the ABCs of book banning was going to win. Last Repair Shop pulled it out. Now, the other two categories are even more interesting. Well, at least one of them is. The animated short film was War Is Over, inspired by music by John and Yoko. Another shoe-in. Everyone knew that was going to win. So those three were easy for me. Those were 3 for 3. The fourth one I also got right, but here's the interesting thing about it. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar was the one that won Best Live Action Short. Who was not there to accept the Oscar? The filmmaker behind it, Wes Anderson, which a lot of people don't know this. That was his first Oscar out of 7 nominations.
Oh,
he's
wow.
He's normally the guy. He's known for, if you don't know the name, he was the man behind the Royal Tenenbaums and the Grand Budapest Hotel. You know, he's a unique writer, director, and he'd been nominated 7 times and didn't win. And he goes at it on the short film level, and he nails it right out of the park. And, of course, he's not even there to accept the Oscar, which was a total bummer because I was glad to see that Wes Anderson finally won an Oscar. He's so deserving. Everyone thought, including myself, it was one of the ones I got wrong the year that Grand Budapest Hotel came out. I thought that was a shoo-in to win Wes Anderson his first Oscar in the screenwriting category, and it didn't win. All right, moving on up here. Let's get into some technical ones. Visual effects, another shoe-in. Godzilla -1 really had this one in the bag. Another one I haven't seen, but the buzz. So, by the way, for you guys that want to know, like, how does he get these right if he's never seen these films? When I'm in California, it's a lot easier now that I'm in California. When I was living in Chicago and Detroit, it wasn't as easy. I really had to just guess or see what other publications were saying and say, okay, 3 out of 4 magazines say this guy's going to win.
And that was pre-internet, too.
So, yeah. So I actually had to buy Entertainment Weekly and Movie Line magazine.
See what people were saying.
Right, and see what people were saying. Now that I'm out here, it's a lot easier as you get close. I don't make predictions anymore weeks ahead of time. I always wait and drop it like the day before. I wait all the way to the end because after the voting is all done, people start to talk, and you hold your ear to the sidewalk and you can hear the tea leaves of what everyone's talking about, right? And you start to get this, everybody in town is saying The Last Repair Shop. Everybody in town is saying The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. You know what I mean? Like, you start to hear the buzz. And that's when I'm like, okay, these guys are going to win. It's not foolproof. As you can see, I got 5 wrong, which means that even the front runners got a little wake-up call.
Yeah.
The next 3 were all upsets, as far as I'm concerned. I had all 3 of these wrong, and I'm shocked.
The Poor Things.
And I'm going to tell you, I got scared. I got scared that Poor Things was trying to make a run. I posted on Facebook. I'm sure you saw it. I said, Poor Things is trying to slay the dragon tonight. So the 3 were in question are Best Sound, Best Costume Design, and Best Makeup and Hairstyling. So Best Makeup and Hairstyling, man, everybody had Maestro. They didn't have it penciled in. They had it written in concrete.
Yeah.
That one was dead far and away. It's supposed to be Maestro's only Oscar for the night. Maestro walks away with 0 Oscars because he got upset in that category by Poor Things.
Yeah.
That was the start. I think when that happened, I remember thinking, oh, Poor Things is going to try to make a run here. And then it wins Costume Design, and that was supposed to go to Barbie. So Barbie's first real big loss was Poor Things really coming out swinging. It's like if you're in a heavyweight fight and you're the underdog, but you get those first 2 uppercuts in right off the bat and put the champ on the ropes. That's what Poor Things did with those 2, because those were early on in the night.
It's funny, though, because you were mentioning what was the Bradley Cooper movie, Maestro. In the podcast that has not aired yet, you were talking about how you thought Bradley Cooper was going to get his Oscar and how Greta was going to get hers in the writing category.
I was sure of it.
Yeah, so I'm glad we're talking about this now, because on the next episode that people are going to hear, the Oscars have already happened, but it was recorded before, so I'm going to have to give a disclaimer at the beginning of the show.
We recorded that around the time the nominations came out, remember, because we talked about the nominations. So that tells you how far off my predictions were then when I started to hear the tea leaves.
Yeah.
And I started to understand that Greta was not going to win. my predictions changed. Let's move around there a little bit. Original song, that was another shoe-in. Billie Eilish.
I'm so glad she won that one, though.
Dude, you really have to YouTube it since you didn't get to see it live. Her performance was on. It's another post I made on Facebook. I said, Billie nailed it. It was such a great performance, and you could tell she was nervous. First time ever performing at the Oscars. Certainly, it's not the biggest room she's ever performed in front of, but to know that 1 billion other people are watching,
right?
You could tell she was nervous as fuck. And when there was times when she looked at the guy playing the piano to be like, "All right, man, carry me through this." And then when it was over, he looks immediately at him with this smile, like, "We fucking did it. We did it. The song is over."
Yeah, I haven't
can't
YouTubed
possibly
it yet.
screw up right now. I can't possibly fuck up now. The song is over. Like, it's just a sigh of relief comes over her face. And then when everybody goes nuts and clapping, you can see how much she loves it. Yeah. She nailed it. It was so awesome. And then for her to win was great. She couldn't even get out an acceptance speech at first. She was just like laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was really good. So, all staying in the music category, Best Original Score went to Oppenheimer, which we expected. That one was an easy one. But it's interesting to note, John Williams was nominated again, this time for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Trivia, how many Oscars does John Williams have in his career?
I have no idea.
He has 5.
Okay.
Which for a composer is pretty damn good. How many Oscar nominations does he have? Remember, this is the guy that did Superman, Star Wars,
I know.
Indiana Jones,
I mean,
E.T.
I have no idea. 20. I mean, it makes sense, but...
He had 20 for breakfast. He has 54 Oscar nominations.
Are you serious?
And he's the oldest ever to be nominated at 91 years old.
Wow.
But here's the kicker. He doesn't even have the most.
What?
He's in second place with 54 nominations. Guess who has 59 Oscar nominations in his career?
Who?
Walt Disney.
Oh, my God.
So he's only behind the great Walt Disney, who, by the way...
I think he'll catch him.
Not only he'll probably catch him if he stays alive, but it's a little unfair because back then, like, Disney was the only one doing that kind of shit.
Yeah, of course he was going to get nominated.
In an animated feature category, he was nominated 5 times.
Right.
Like,
yeah, he got all 5.
Yeah, so that's not even fair. I mean, the fact that John Williams has 54 over his career is far more amazing.
It's impressive, yeah.
Okay, production design. That one I did call for Poor Things, and it hit. That one was correct. At the time that hit, though, that was Poor Things' 3rd Oscar already, and Oppenheimer hadn't won any yet.
Right.
So I was starting to think, where's it pointing here? I took a little shot to the face on my animated feature. I did not have The Boy and the Huron winning. I had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, I should have seen this one coming because this was actually a sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which came out 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that one did win animated feature.
Right.
So, everyone was saying Spider-Man was going to win again. I should have known better. They're not going to do this twice.
Right.
But my girls were also disappointed because they wanted Elemental to win. Which, by the way, going back to Best Song, I'm actually surprised that the song from Elemental by the group Love, I think it's called Steal the Show. Mm-hmm. I'm really surprised that didn't get nominated. That's totally an Oscar type of song from a Disney movie. You know what I mean? I was really surprised Elemental didn't get a Best Song nomination. I would have put it in ahead of I'm Just Ken. I know that was a big production at the Oscars. Yeah. Again, something you might want to YouTube.
I did watch that one. I saw it. Someone posted it on Facebook, so I watched it.
Slash showed up to perform.
That was badass.
I get it was a great production, but Steal the Show from Elemental, I think, was a better song than I'm Just Ken, so I'm really surprised. I think the Barbie Hype is what got it 2 songs in one category. Moving over to the other big shoe-in, Best International Feature. They used to call it Best Foreign Film. Now it's International Feature. The Zone of Interest, which was up for Best Picture, wins this one easily. Normally, when you're up for Best Picture and Best International Feature, you're going to get Best International Feature. I mean, if you were that good to crack the top 10 of Best Overall Picture, this one you usually have.
Didn't that one also star the same actor that was the woman that was in
Anatomy of a Fall?
Anatomy of a Fall, yeah.
Sandra Hola. So, here's what I knew.
She did it. She did it.
She's fucking guilty. And now you know. Now, when you see the reception that movie got, and if you see, wait, we're not there yet. Let's get there.
Okay, go ahead.
So the next 2 awards put me back at ease that Oppenheimer was fending off the early blast by Poor Things. It nailed both film editing and cinematography. And these are 2 big ones if you're trying to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
If you can get editing and cinematography, and I was worried because Poor Things was nominated for both. And I remember thinking, here's how we'll know. We'll know if it's going to be a Poor Things night. If they win one of these 2, Oppenheimer's in trouble. But Oppenheimer won both, so I was like, okay, Oppenheimer's going to... Now, for those of you saying, why were you so for Oppenheimer? Oppenheimer, to me, was the best film of the year. Now, I have changed my opinion on what my favorite movie of the year was. I have been saying it was Oppenheimer since last August, because since last August, Oppenheimer was my favorite film. And then something happened.
What's your favorite?
Which brings us to the adapted screenplay category. Before the Oscars were on, by the way, they started an hour early this year. I don't know if you know that. They started at 4 California time. That's normally, it's normally
7
5
o'clock.
Yeah,
was it 7
man.
our time?
That threw me off because I had shit to do. I was like running errands at Target, and I'm like, fuck, I got to get back. One of the things I had to do was I had to do laundry that morning, fold a bunch of clothes of laundry. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stream one of the movies I hadn't seen yet because I wanted to try to get as many of these of the top 10 of the 10 films that were nominated. I wanted to get as many of them done as possible. There was one I didn't get to. Well, there's a couple. I did not see Zone of Interest. Turns out that's the only one left I hadn't seen.
Okay.
I was at 9, and there was one more that I hadn't seen yet, and it was available to stream if you rented it for $4. So I did it.
What movie?
American Fiction.
Oh.
And I watched that literally hours before the Oscars, and I gotta say, that is my favorite movie of the year.
Really? So
now,
I didn't even care for it that much. I thought it was okay. When I saw it, I thought it was going to be more of a comedy because all the funny parts were in the trailer.
It was funny as shit. Not all the parts.
It was funny, but I saw all the funny parts in the trailer.
But that's what I love about movies like that. They're dramas that have a lot of comedy. They're not comedies that have drama. They're dramas that have comedy.
Yeah.
And Sterling K. Brown, who was up for Best Supporting Actor, God, he was so funny.
Yeah, he was great. I loved him in that movie.
My
favorite movie of the year was The Holdovers.
I love that one too. I actually bought that one. I told you.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one from beginning to end. I wish I would have bought it when I rented it. I'll probably end up buying it, but
I was at Target one day, not the day in question. This was months ago. And I saw it on Blu-ray. So I said, you know what? I love every movie that this guy's done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy it because I love him and I love Paul Giamatti, who's always awesome. So I'm just going to buy it. I know it's up for all these Oscars. I'm going to buy it. How bad can it possibly be? And I did. I loved it too. I thought it was great. But man, American Fiction just had me rolling. One of my favorite scenes is where he tries to get the people away from this book that he doesn't want them to buy it. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to change the name. They're like, what are you going to change it to? He's like, fuck. And they're like, we love it. That was his big move to get them to scare them off, and they love it. They want to rename the book Fuck. I mean, it was so great. I think maybe just because I'm a writer, and from a writer's point of view, this is the kind of movie that speaks to you.
Yeah.
You know, this was such a writer's movie, and I was rolling. And so I was more than happy to agree with the hype that it was going to win Best Adapted Screenplay, and it did. And that's where we're at now, the Writing Awards. We got everything else right. Yeah, so Best Adapted Screenplay, beating out Greta for Barbie. Now, again, you could argue, should Greta have even been in that category? You know, that's the big controversy this year. Barbie should have been in the original screenplay category. And I think it was for some early award shows. Didn't we talk about that? Wasn't it it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay at like the Globes or
I think you said
the WGA.
You talking about Barbie?
Writers Guild, yeah.
Yeah, in that last episode that's going to air after this one, the one that we recorded that I'm editing, the one about Barbie. You said that in the other two big awards, I think Globes and I forget the other one.
I think it was WGA. I think it was the Writers Guild.
Yeah, the SAG maybe.
Well, SAG is actors.
Oh, right.
But
anyways, you said it was nominated
WGA.
in the other category. So
yeah. So that's the big controversy. Christopher Nolan, of course, didn't win because they knew they were going to give it the top prize. This was a shot for Tony McNamara for Poor Things, because again, if Poor Things was going to win, this would have been a big indicator. I'm glad it went to American Fiction. again, it was one of the ones I hadn't seen. Ends up being my favorite film of the year. It wasn't the best film of the year. I still think Oppenheimer was the best overall movie of the year. I was pulling for it to win the Oscars that it did. Moving over to best original screenplay.
Hold on, was that the only thing American Fiction took in?
Yes, that's the only award it won.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it won something. It was good. Yeah. I mean, but to me, like, I don't know. Like I said, my expectations were higher for the comedy side, but it ended up being more of a drama to me, so.
Certainly his part was mostly dramatic. The brother is the one that brought the comic relief.
Yeah.
Sterling
K. Brown was awesome, man.
They're loading up his bags in the trunk, and he's already drinking whiskey or something. He's like, God damn, dude, it's 8 a.m. He's like, I'm not flying the fucking plane, monk. And then when he's in his kitchen with this gay lover, and he's all, are you offended that I've taken a lover? He's like, no, I'm offended that you used the term taking a lover.
Right. I know. That was good.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. That movie just had me rolling. I'm folding clothes, and V was in the room. My wife was in the room because she was doing tax stuff. And so she was at the desk doing taxes. And every time I'm laughing, she kept turning around like, what are you watching? I'm like, this movie is hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So Jesse and I saw that at the theater.
Yeah, I kept thinking that you said you had already seen it early on, right?
Yeah.
You saw it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After it was nominated, but still.
Oh, the nominations already come out. Okay, cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was my favorite one to watch. Okay, so moving over to Best Original Screenplay, which is usually my favorite category, because I'm an original screenwriter. I have adapted. I rarely adapt. I usually write original screenplays, so this is my favorite category.
And you called this one too, right?
Called this one, and totally deserving Anatomy of a Fall. Now, again, if you watched it from your goggles, you might say, why would this movie win Best Original Screenplay?
Yeah, because at the end of that movie, I thought, nah, okay. But after you told me your spin, I was like, oh, shit, I got to rewatch it now.
And I feel like everybody thought the same thing I did.
Yeah.
Because that's why they gave it Best Original Screenplay. They saw it and thought the same thing, like, holy shit, she's guilty, and what a creative way to write this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Oh, shit. Here we go. That was for Justin Trier and Arthur Harari, who won the Oscar for Anatomy of the Fall, which, by the way, again, because you didn't get to see it, the dog was there.
Yeah.
He was in the crowd, and Jimmy Kimmel even mentioned, he's like, for those of you who haven't seen it, this dog has an overdose scene, and everybody was going nuts. Like, that just proves to me that dog was acting.
Yeah.
They did not drug this dog. Like, that dog did
Well,
that
they should
shit.
have made him, like, perform on stage, drop dead with his tongue hanging out.
And his eyes rolling back. That dog, I'm telling you, I said it before, that dog is the Daniel Day-Lewis of fucking canines, dude. I mean, that was amazing. Yeah. Okay, so now we're into the top 6 here. Mm-hmm. I should have gone 6 for 6. I went 5 for 6. Let's do the easy ones first. Supporting roles. Robert Downey Jr. wins for Oppenheimer. We knew that. And Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Another one I knew was going to happen. She was so great. She was the glue that held that movie together, I thought.
So, and that was the only nod that The Holdovers got, right? That was the only one they won?
It's the only one they won, yeah. It's the only Oscar they took home.
And she was well-deserved. I mean,
oh, God. Yeah. She was so great. And like I said, as great as Paul Giamatti is and as great as the writing is, and those were obviously a delight the entire time you're watching the film, she's the glue, man. She brings the whole subplot about her son being killed in Vietnam, and you just know that she needs...
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned it before. Without the like, sometimes the best supporting actor, like you mentioned Obi-Wan, right, in the original Star Wars. It's not just the... I don't know. Sometimes they hold it together. They bring the characters together, and they kind of keep the story moving along. And and she did all that.
Yeah.
So
she's the B story.
Yeah.
When we go to break that down next week, we'll talk about again the beats, and we'll see where she fits in on the beats.
Right.
Moving over to Robert Downey Jr. Now, a lot of people didn't like this one.
I was happy with it, even though I wasn't happy with. I was less happy with Cillian Murphy winning because I remember I was upset that he got nominated for Staring with PTSD. I'm like, come on, man. I was not sympathetic.
We're not there yet. We're not at that war yet. But I think what people were upset about, at least I don't think they were upset, honestly.
About Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, there was a few people. So one of the things is they said the same thing about when Angela Bassett lost last year in the Best Supporting Actress category. They kept saying, oh, they should have won for this. This is BS. There's a conspiracy. They should have won, blah, blah, blah. They should have won for something else, blah, 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 blah. All I heard all weekend after the Oscars, at least all Sunday night, was Robert Downey Jr. should have won for Chaplin back in 91. He lost to Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. He wasn't going to win Chaplin, all right?
Yeah, and he was new. And he was relatively new as far as a big name.
Yeah, oh yeah, he wasn't a huge name yet. Right. But also, the other thing that angered people was, I guess when he went up on stage, he took the Oscar from we had his name from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh.
Short Round. I'll just call him Short Round. So offensive, I guess. Calling him by his character name when he was a child. I could call him Data from the Goonies. No. Kiwi Kwan.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Kiwi. Love you.
He
was so excited about presenting that part of the award.
Oh, I bet.
And then he was the one that got to hand Downey the Oscar.
Yeah.
And everyone was miffed that he got up on stage. He shook two of the dude's hands. I can't remember which two of the five he shook, but he didn't even look at Kiwi when he took the Oscar.
Oh, really?
And he just sort of like took it and looked off.
Yeah,
like,
that's a missed opportunity, Mr.
Didn't
Junior.
Acknowledge him,
Mr. Downey.
And everybody was upset he didn't even acknowledge him. So here's my defense of Robert Downey Jr. I don't care how many times you've practiced your Oscar speech in your bathroom mirror. When you fucking get your name called, I cannot imagine.
Oh, your mind's racing. I can't,
what you're thinking when you get up. I mean, actresses have tripped going up the stairs on their dress because they've probably practiced that move 100 times and they still fuck it up after their name is called because you have no idea what's going through their head. It's amazing. And then you get up there and all these people are clapping and you're like, I don't even know, you know what I mean? Like, shit, I've completely forgotten my acceptance speech, right?
Right.
I can't imagine what he was thinking.
Well, to your point, I mean, Emma Stone. when she got up there,
I
did see. I don't know if I saw her entire speech, but oh my god, it was like a blabbering mess. But it was awesome, right? Because you want that real emotion when someone wins, you know.
Absolutely, that's what people love. That's what people love. And so I'm going to give him a little bit of defense on that. But he did win. He was projected to win. He was a sure win. Percentage-wise, I'm still looking okay until we get to Best Actress. Yeah. Actually, let's do Best Actor first. So Cillian Murphy was another one that...
Boo. I'm a dick. I'm like booing this guy for his Oscar win.
Here's the funny thing. Paul Giamatti might have been the closest competitor, right?
And that's who I wanted.
It was really between him and Paul Giamatti. Although... having watched American Fiction right before the Oscars, I remember thinking, Jeffrey Wright, man, come on, he's got a shot.
I mean,
because I started to like, but like I said, it was really Sterling K. Brown that stole the show in that movie. As good as Jeffrey Wright was, I don't think it was anything that was. I mean, let's be honest. Looking at this group, there's not a Rain Man in here. You know what I mean? There's not a Forrest Gump in here. Yeah. This is not one. There's no Al Pacino's playing a blind guy. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the closest thing would have been Cillian Murphy with his accent, right? I mean.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because that was acting for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I honestly believe that when Michael Caine won Best Supporting Actor for Cider House Rules, it was because he's a Brit who nailed that Boston accent. I mean, you would have thought he was American. Yeah. I mean, his voice was amazing in that movie. Like, he didn't miss a beat with that Boston accent. New England accent, I guess I should say. So, I guess, to that point, he really nailed the dialogue. But I just think when you're carrying a 3-hour film that you're rarely off screen, like, I want to say the only times he's not on screen is the Robert Downey Jr. scenes. And not even all of them. He's in some of those, too. But the Robert Downey Jr. with the Han Solo, the scenes where those guys have together. You know what I'm talking about? The guy that plays Solo in the new movie Solo.
Oh, right.
Alden something.
I forget his
name.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have to look it up. But those scenes where they're in together are the only scenes that Oppenheimer's not in, that Cillian Murphy isn't in. he carries most of a 3-hour film. And yes, you said there was a lot of staring. I think he wore the emotions perfectly. I think there was a lot of times where you saw it in his eyes.
And part of me poo-pooing his performance, it says more about my lack of empathy for the man Oppenheimer, not the actor playing Oppenheimer.
Well, and we can't do that.
That's what I did.
Did you
100%.
have sympathy for Hannibal Lecter? Obviously you play again. And I've heard that argument so far the last couple of days on the internet too. 275,000 people dead, and we award him an Oscar. They know that that's not the real Oppenheimer, right? That there was an actor playing him.
Right.
Like, come on, guys. Like, fucking. And again, and this is a good argument that you have. I'm sure all these people would give their Oscars back to have the atrocities not happen in real life.
Oh, sure.
But they did, right? I'm sure Charlize Theron would say, I'd rather not be an Academy Award-winning actress if Eileen Wuornos didn't murder a bunch of people and then I'd play her in a movie, right? Like, bad people have movies made about them. It's just the way it is. And sometimes if the performances are good, they win Oscars. We're not honoring the atrocities that they did. We're honoring the fucking actor or actress that portrayed them. Let's not lose focus on that. I mean, but I don't know. I thought he was great.
So I'm less upset about him winning Best Actor as I am about Oppenheimer winning Best Picture.
Okay. We'll get to that. We're not there yet. So, Best Actress. Move along to Best Actress, which was one of my big wrongs. And again, if I normally get 4 wrong, this was my 5th wrong of the night. Mm-hmm. And it ruined my score, dropped it down to 78%, as it were. I really was surprised. Now, I wasn't that surprised during the night. Because the way Poor Things was going, I remember thinking, Emma's going to win this. She's going to fucking end up winning this. Because it's obvious that they love Poor Things. So they're going to give it to him. But I kept fighting it, and I still had Lily up until that night. Up until that moment, I was still, come on, Lily's got this. And here's the reason why. She won the SAG Award.
Yeah.
She had all the momentum. And, I know that Emma won a few, and then Lily won a few, but the SAG is usually the tiebreaker before you get to the Oscars. And I got to say, it's roughly like 75-80% of the time, whoever wins the SAG wins the Oscar.
Yeah.
There are a few exceptions. I'd have to look it up. I know off the top of my head. I know Frances McDormand for Nomadland. She did not win the SAG, but she won the Oscar. I want to say Olivia Colman for The Favorite. She won. She did not win the SAG, but she won the Oscar. So it does happen. Like I said, 75-80% of the time, though, whoever wins that SAG award, because that's all the actors, which is the largest branch of the Academy. Right. So when the actors pick somebody to win their union award, the SAG...
Yeah, chances are they're voting for them for the Oscar, too.
Chances are the biggest branch of the Academy is going to vote for them for Best Actress for the Oscars. So it was a little shocking. But when you think about it, and here's why it makes sense. And by the way, I have to say, I'm going to let that fizz a little bit there.
I love the intermittent little pores.
Yeah. It's the sound my pee makes when it's in the toilet.
God.
It starts bubbling and fizzing. That might be a problem. I have to get that checked. Okay. So in hindsight's 2020. Here's what I was talking about earlier when I said I should have seen this one coming. I should have seen this one coming. Mm-hmm. Not just because Poor Things came out of the gate swinging, but because when somebody... by the other thing is Emma Stone's already won an Oscar. She already won for La La Land. Right. So I'm like, she already won one. Lily hasn't won anything yet. She's the first Native American woman to ever be nominated for an Oscar. And she won the SAG, so this is a guarantee. This is a shoo-in. Here's why I shouldn't have been so naive and why I shouldn't have gotten blindsided. First of all, the whole belief that it's an honor just to be nominated. Mm-hmm. You're the first Native American actress to be nominated for an Oscar. They probably thought that was enough. You got nominated. That's pretty big. Here's the other thing. Emma Stone played a character, which now in hindsight I have to admit that even though I thought Lily Gladstone was going to win, Emma Stone's was the best performance of the year. Arguably in both categories.
I haven't seen it yet.
Arguably.
But from what I know about
in all 4 acting categories, Emma Stone's was the best of the year.
Wow.
So
that says a lot.
Wait till you see it. Now... So she plays somebody, I don't want to give away too much of it, but she basically her brain has to develop. She starts off with a baby's brain that William Dafoe put in her head, and she has to age gradually.
But she's got a young woman's body or something like that?
Yeah, she's got, like a 20s something body, but she's got a child's brain and it has to develop, but it advances at a faster rate than most people. But as she progresses from this childlike person at the beginning, who's still learning how to walk and talk, to how she is at the end, is the growth of a child to an adulthood that we see in 2 hours. And it's the kind of film, and this is, again, why I shouldn't have been blindsided by this. Dustin Hoffman had already won an Oscar, but when Rain Man came out, they were like, we got to give it to him. Rain Man's too amazing. It's too amazing of a performance. Tom Hanks just won an Oscar for Philadelphia, and then Forrest Gump comes out. And they're like, but this handicap thing, it gets us every time. We got to give it to him. I should have seen this one coming. Emma Stone had already won one, but this was one of those quote-unquote handicap performances that you just can't get around, right?
Yeah.
So I should have seen it coming. When they read her name off, I was sitting on the couch, and I'm like, I fucking knew it. I knew it. Why did I think that wasn't going to happen? It's kind of like one of those where you're like, when you're watching a Lions game, and you're like, go for it on fourth down, go for it on fourth, and then they don't get it, and you're like, that's why you don't go for it on fourth down, goddammit. That's kind of how my emotions were. I'm like, come on, Lily still got this. Lily still got this. Come on, Lily Gladstone, just say it. And they're like, Emma Stone, and I'm like, I fucking knew it. I knew it was going to be Emma Stone. Why did I think it was going to be Lily Gladstone? Of course it's Emma Stone. So it was one of those kind of I knew it. I just knew it. Which, of course, takes us to the last two of the night, the two big ones. Christopher Nolan, of course, Best Director for Oppenheimer, and then Best Picture Oppenheimer. 7 Oscars, man. You can't. I mean, it was technically speaking, and as far as acting is concerned, obviously it won 2 acting awards. It was the best film of the year. It's the best made film of the year. My personal favorite was American Fiction. A lot of people's favorites was Poor Things. Poor Things, I think, was too out there, though, to win the top prize.
My favorite was The Holdovers.
And The Holdovers is good. But I wouldn't even say Holdovers is Payne and Giamatti's best connection. I always liked Sideways. I should have thought they both should have won for Sideways. That's my favorite Giamatti movie. But again, he plays a writer in that. You see where this is going? And by the way, American Fiction was very much felt like an Alexander Payne movie. The music, the pacing. I remember watching it going, if this was a white version of this movie, it would be Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne directing. Like, this is the black version of Paul Giamatti movies. That's how I felt. And again, that's why I like Sideways, and that's why I liked American Fiction. But Oppenheimer, it was the best film of the year. It is the best film of the year. Everyone was like, oh, Killers of the Flower Moon. That walked away with 0 Oscars.
Yeah.
You know? And again,
we're going to cover that next week.
I watched that one. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I did watch that one the day before the Oscars.
Yeah. On
Saturday. And it's good. It's Scorsese good, but it's not Goodfellas. You know what I mean? It's not a film that I thought, oh my God, stop all the presses. This is the one that's going to sweep the awards. It's important, but I don't think it's any more important than Oppenheimer is. Especially Oppenheimer's very topical to today, as far as, you see the wars that are going on in the world, how close we are at any moment for any world leader could end the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought it was topical. I thought it was the best made. It was very well acted. It was amazingly directed. Again, we're going to release that episode. You're going to hear my thoughts on the beats. What'd you think overall? You wanted the Holdovers.
I wanted Holdovers. I wish they had better showing, but, it is what it is. I'm going to have to figure something out for next year if I'm going to be doing a movie podcast. I mean, I got to watch. I'm going to have to fly to California to watch the Oscars with you.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, and don't tell my wife, it doesn't matter. She never listens to these podcasts anyway. But I remember thinking, next year I got to watch it at somebody else's house. Because she still thinks it's a regular Sunday. Oh, are you going to get the kids in their jammies? Are you going to? And I'm like, I'm fucking watching the Oscars, man.
It's like Super Bowl Sunday. What are you talking about?
Just act like I'm at work. I'm not here right now. Like, what? And I hate to be a deadbeat dad and deadbeat husband, but it was Oscar night. She's like, so I'm on my own? I'm like, kinda? I mean, it's Oscars. And the worst thing is, I'm like, she's known me this is like her 11th Oscars with me. I'm like, we do this every year. The 11th time. You don't get it by now? This is bigger to me than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Maybe you should fly back here and you can watch, we can have an Oscar party with, Caitlin and all the kids that want to be part of that. I know.
By the way, I sent Caitlin my picks again this year, as I do every year. I didn't hear a peep from her this year. Did she not have picks?
I don't know. I think they were dealing with, I think they had a stomach bug or something last weekend, so they might have been a little occupied.
Even more the reason to be on the couch with a blanket over you watching the Oscars.
Should probably hate me for putting this in here. I'll have to cut it all out.
Oh, no. We air our dirty laundry on this podcast. So anyway, I came in at 78%, normally at 83%. If I had one Lily, Gladstone beating Emma Stone.
In spite of my disappointment, I love this season. I love doing this with you, so I'm glad we got to sit down and record this.
Real quick, I needed two, actually. I needed the Lily Gladstone and one of those costume or makeup ones to hit my 83. But poor things really pissed in my beer that night. All right, 6 degrees. So what are the rules? This is weird because we're not doing two movies.
Yeah, this is weird. So you asked for two actors in the acting categories. You didn't specify best actor, best actress, supporting actor, supporting actress.
Any acting
category. So I threw two actors at you, hoping that it would be a little difficult because the point is we want to see if it's possible that there's two actors that cannot be connected within 6 degrees. So I went with Sandra Hüller. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Hüller?
I think it's Hüller.
Hüller. From Anatomy of a Fall, and Divine Joy Rudolph from The Holdovers.
Who won for The Holdovers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can't use those movies. I can't use The Holdovers.
Yeah, and you can't use either of those two movies.
Which technically I can't use Zone of Interest either. Not that I would, but I can't technically use that either.
Because that was also in the Oscars.
Actually, she wasn't nominated for that, though. She was only nominated for Anatomy of a Fall.
Well, okay.
I wouldn't have used it anyway. There was nobody else in that movie that I knew anyway. All right. This actually was a tough one. I had to go deep on this one.
Well, Sandra being mainly a foreign film star.
A lot of German films in her history. And one of them in 2009 was called Fräulein Stins Travels the World.
Okay.
2009. Martin Braumbach was in that film, another actor, a foreign actor. I should say international actor. Yeah. In 2008, just the year before, he was in The Reader, that big movie with Kate Winslet that was, I think, up for a bunch of Oscars. Kate Winslet, of course, was in Avatar 2, Way of the Water, 2022, with Stephen Lang. You know him. He was Ike in Tombstone, and he was in the first Avatar. He's the bad guy in the Avatar movies, basically. He did a movie in 2022 called The Lost City, which had, I believe, Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, that was I enjoyed that movie. That was a fun movie.
Who else was in that?
Brad Pitt.
Divine Joy Randolph.
Really? What she played? Do you remember? Did you see it?
No, I'd never seen it.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, you're right. I do remember her now. That was a good movie.
So
I highly recommend if you want an entertaining movie to watch, rent that one.
So I don't remember her character name. But anyway, so that's 4. Fräulein Stins, The Reader, Avatar 2, and The Lost City. So we connected them in 4 without using their Oscar-nominated films.
Yeah, that's good. Well done, sir.
Yeah, pretty good for Sandra Ola, who got a nomination, 2 big films. 2 of her films were up for Best Picture this year. You're going to start seeing a lot of her. This always happens.
Yep.
She's going to start popping up in more English language films. Big for her. Good.
She's
for
a
her.
great actress. I mean, I thought she nailed it in Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more of Divine Joy Randolph as well.
Yeah.
This always happens. Hopefully we see more Jeffrey Wright and Paul Giamatti. They're both, they're not struggling either. Both of them have been making movies every year. But hopefully now when your Spielberg or your Scorsese says, I need a lead, they call one of these guys instead of one of their regular guys. I'd like to see Jeffrey Wright more. God, he was just so good. And Sterling K. Brown, and again, Sterling K. Brown, he's been around for a long time. People don't realize how long he's been around.
I remember him first from This Is Us, the TV show. Mm-hmm. And then I saw him in a couple other TV shows. I think he was in Mrs. Maisel.
But he was also in that made for the American Crime Story, the OJ miniseries.
Oh, right. Yeah, he was great in that.
He played Darden.
Yeah. Yep.
So he was really good in that. Very happy for Anatomy of a Fall, just because I really liked that movie. Go back and listen to our podcast of that episode. You'll hear how much I liked it. So I was happy that they won, and she's still guilty as fuck. I don't care what anyone says. She killed her husband. But anyway. overall a good night. And one more thing we need to address before we sign off is the runtime. Now, there's some big controversy about Al Pacino not saying the nominees for Best Picture.
Yeah, I felt when I read that,
award.
I was like, man, that is kind of a snub to all the worthy, nominees that weren't even mentioned.
Pacino has come out and said that the producers told him not to do that, not to read the nominations. What's another 30 fucking seconds? I mean, seriously.
And you mentioned that, like, throughout the night, they were giving, paying homage to the
film,
performances.
Yeah, they give each film a moment.
Yeah.
They talk about it, and they show a clip from it, and they're like,
yeah,
this is up for Best Picture. And they do that usually. I would like to have seen them, show them at the end, do one last nomination roundup, just to remind everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem like a snub, right? I mean, if you're nominated and they didn't even mention your name during the award, I mean, come on.
Your past lives, and you got 2 nominations, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
And they don't even mention you at the end.
Right.
You're just like, what the hell am I even doing here? But I don't know. I think where he did screw up is he at least was supposed to say in the Oscar goes to. He doesn't even do that. Al opens the envelope and goes, "My eyes see Oppenheimer." Like, the fuck? So even Jimmy
I don't
Kimmel
think that was on the cue card.
No, even Jimmy Kimmel was giving him shit for that. Like, does he not know? Has he not seen award shows before? Like, you're supposed to say in the Oscar goes to. A couple other points I hate, and they've been doing this for a long time now. They've been doing this for at least 20 years. I hate when they present the acting awards and they bring out 5 previous winners to stroke off the person that's about to be, that's being nominated this year. I liked the clips better. I think you save more time with the clips. If you're obsessed with time saving,
yeah, right.
Just show us the clips.
Yeah.
Just be like Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers and show us a clip from the movie.
Yeah.
We want to see the clips. When I was growing up, I was too young to see a lot of movies that were up for Oscars. When I saw the clip, it made me want to see the movie.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that was awesome. Yeah,
exactly. I'd be like, that looked awesome. I want to see that now.
Yeah.
When you just got some guy that already won coming out and talking about another guy that's nominated, it doesn't entice me to see it.
No, that's
to hear
dumb.
them come out and say, Sterling, your performance was moving and electric. Like that doesn't drive me to want to see it.
And why not? They have this amazing performance. Show it to us.
Let's see the performance.
Yeah. Come on.
And I don't know why, but about 20 years ago, they stopped doing that shit. In fact, I want to say it was less than 20. It was maybe 25 or so. I want to say the first time I noticed that was when Heath Ledger posthumously was nominated for The Dark Knight, playing the Joker. Because I remember thinking, what clip are they going to show of the Joker, right? That would be amazing. I want to see it. I can't wait. And they didn't do it. They brought 5 fucking previous winners of Best Supporting Actor out to talk about how great all these guys are.
So they've been doing that long?
At least since 2008. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, not every year. It's like every now and again, they'll throw in a year where they show the clips again. I don't know why they keep changing it.
Yeah.
But I was really irritated by that. Again, it came in at 3 hours and about 20 minutes, which is way under. It's usually a 4-hour show. So they were already saving on time.
Right.
They could give us the nominations. They did it for Best Song, too. When the person came out to give out the Oscar for Best Song, they didn't re-go through all the nominations again. They just said, hey, you heard the 5 songs earlier tonight. Here's the winner.
Yeah, that's dumb.
It's like, just, no. Give us a recap. Tell us who's nominated. Remind us. They want to hear their name. They paid the money for the fucking tux. Read off their goddamn name.
Yeah.
Let's hear the name. And my last critique was I still like at the end now, they've been doing this for I don't know how long, maybe 10, 15 years, that when somebody when the best picture is won, everybody that was in the film goes up on stage. I do like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That everybody gets to be a part of it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
It used to be just the producer, just some old white guy up there with an Oscar going, yes, it was so hard putting up the money for this movie. Now it's like everybody that had something to do with it gets to go on stage. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I did like that. My last other point besides that is I think they should get Andrea Bocelli to do the memorial every year. He did Time to Say Goodbye with his son. I don't know if you know Bocelli, the blind composer. It's one of V's favorite singers. She actually came out of the kitchen and came into the living room when he was on just because she loves him so much. But when he was doing his song during the memorial section where they show everybody that died the year before, that was a great moment. And they should get him to do that every year. I think it would run stale after a while, but it is such a great song, and he nailed it. And
yeah, why not? Milk it for as long as you can.
Yeah.
And can we have one without a naked guy? I mean,
so the naked thing, for those of you that don't know, was the John Cena bit. I think the only thing that was funny about it, well, it was the anniversary in 1974.
Yeah, there was a streaker.
The time that there was a streaker on stage, so it was kind of a bit on that. But the best part was that he was giving out the costume Oscar. Like that's what the funny part was, because he waddles his way on stage, holding the envelope over his junk, and he gets to the microphone and he goes,
an enlarged envelope.
Yeah, and he gets up there and he goes, costumes. Men are the important. So it was a great one-liner to go with such a bad skit. Like, it was a bad joke.
And poor Jimmy Kimmel had to stand behind him.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a bad. I don't know if I'd say tasteless. If I had John Cena's body, I wouldn't mind being on stage naked. But you know, it was borderline tasteless. But it really wasn't that funny. But the funniest part of it was the joke delivery about the fact he was giving out the costume design Oscar. That's the part that made it funny.
I almost had an emergency. You heard that, right?
I saw the sizzle and I saw you reach
for
the
glass. It poured fast and it almost went over. I sucked it down.
You almost had another wet seat incident like you had during Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, so like I said, it came in at 3 hours and 20 minutes. So it obviously had time to spare. Changes I would make. Go back to showing the clips from the movies. We want to see the clips.
We want to see the clips.
We don't need to see previous actors coming out and stroking off these guys about how great their performance was.
Yeah.
We know it was great. Show us the clip. Prove it was great. The number one rule of screenwriting is show, don't tell. Don't tell me how you're feeling. Show me how you're feeling. Well, show me the fucking clips.
Yeah.
Don't tell me they were great. Show it to me.
Yep.
So that's my biggest takeaway was that. And again, Pacino at the end. You got to read the nominations. You got to give us the nominations. I mean, how much time are you really saving? It takes a minute to write off everyone's name.
Right.
Fuck. As far as placement, I thought the screenwriting awards came a little early. I always like those to be right near the end because to me they're just as big as Best Picture and Best Director as far as I'm concerned. Now, I get that people want actor and actress to be the last ones. Particularly, actress should be right before Best Picture. I get it. Old school is the last four is actor, actress, director, picture. Director and picture usually come hand in hand. They started splitting those up because they found, this happened a couple of times, like with Spielberg and Mel Gibson, that they win Best Director and then they're supposed to go in the back and talk to the press, but they can't because they're about to do Best Picture. And they're nominated for that too.
Yeah.
So they have to wait. And then they go out there to get their Best Picture Oscar already with an Oscar in hand. It just looked weird. It happens. It's happened a few times. So I get why they split that one up. Director and picture. Split them up. Stick Best Actress right there in between them. So Best Actress is the last award before Best Picture. I get it. I'm cool with that. And I'm okay with the supporting roles being early in the night because they got to give those East Coast papers something to print, right? Because they're usually heading to press already. And when you wake up in the East Coast in New York, it's always like, we don't know who won. It went till midnight.
Right.
But we can tell you who won Best Supporting Actor, right? Like, they have something to print. So I don't mind that. But the writing awards need to be later. They were too early this year. I like them to be a little bit later because, again, I think they're important. I think they need to be later to show their importance. Other than that, I liked everything they did. They got all the awards in. You got to perform all the songs. I like when they perform the songs. Those are great production moments, particularly Billy's. She nailed it.
Yeah, really happy about that.
So you need to get yourself a streaming service, sir, that plays live TV.
Yeah.
So, next episode, dropping in a week, maybe? A week or so?
Barbenheimer.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw when those two got up to present an award. It was pretty funny. Emily Blunt from Oppenheimer and Ryan Gosling from Barbie came up to present an award together. They're actually coming out in a new movie together, so they were up there together. And he has this great line where he's like, oh, I know they called us Barbenheimer or Oppen Barbie or something throughout all last summer. It was kind of a rivalry, and it's been still going. And she says, yes, but if you've looked at the awards recently, it hasn't been much of a rivalry at all.
Ouch!
I know. I was on the couch and I'm like, damn, she went right for the nut punch on that. Jesus. So, you know,
Wow.
I'm sure that stung Greta too. But
I know. Who wrote that?
it was a good line. That was pretty funny.
That was a cup check. Boom.
But anyway, all right, let's land this sucker. Next episode is Barbenheimer, where we discuss Barbie and Oppenheimer. And then after that is going to be Pillars of the Flower Moon and the Holdovers.
Yep. All right. Well, go support your local cinemas.
Yes. Keep drinking and keep watching.